Hi creatives, welcome back to my YouTube channel, The Creative Light. Thank you so much to all my returning subscribers for watching my videos and engaging with my videos, right? If today is your first time of stopping by, you are welcomed. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning how to make this very beautiful mix and match Ankara Bubu gown, right? If you're a lover of easy breezy wear like me, then this tutorial is for you. Ensure to watch to the end of the video. You need two different prints for this project, right? For the up one, I have about 1.5 yards of Ankara. Then for the lower one, I have about 2 yards. If you're very tall, you can use 3 yards or more for the lower part, right? So for the upper part, I went ahead to fold my fabric into two first against the selvage area. Then I folded it again into 4, right? I have here my back and front. They are together. I hope you understand me. I went ahead to mark 1/2 inch for my starting line, right? After marking the 1/2 inch, I ruled it. This 1/2 inch will also serve as my 1/2 inch for the shoulder sewing allowance, right? After that, I marked 3.5 for my neck width. You can use 4 inches or 5 inches if you want the neck width to be wide, right? For my shoulder and sleeve length, I used 22.5 inches, right? You can use less than that or more than that. You can use 15 or 18, right? Then my neck width, I used 7 inches. You can go down if you want it deeper. It's a V neckline, then I connected it to the neck width, 3.5 neck width. On that 22.5, I came down by 1 inch, which will serve as my shoulder slope. Then I connected it to the neck width. For the sleeve opening, I used 10 inches. I didn't want it very wide. If you want it very wide, you can use about 12 or 13, right? So on that point, that sleeve opening, I just went ahead to mark from that 1/2 inch to get the exact line so that I can impute my body measurement. So the body measurement I used here was my hip divided by 4, right? So you use your hip divided by 4, you mark it, then you add about 4 to 5 inches depending on how free you want it. I use 5 inches for mine, right? So I connected it to that sleeve opening. I hope you understand me. The measurement I have on that chest point, I came down with that same measurement and I marked it there, right? Then I connected it. Then I made a curve at that point, right? Then the back neck, I don't want it to be V-neck at the back. So for the back neck depth, I use 1.5. Then I made a curve. I also added about 1 cm for the sewing allowance. The next thing to do is to cut it out. Then that 22.5 inches, I just had to make a straight line there. Then I cut it out. On the shoulder point, I added 1/2 inch for the shoulder joining allowance, right? I didn't cut on that exact shoulder slope. I hope you understand me. You just need to add ½ inch to it. Then I cut my back neckline first. So from that neck depth, the front neck depth, that v-neck, I came down by 6 inches. You can use 5 inches, 6.5 or 7 inches, right? Depending on your choice. Then I marked it. So for the lower part, I folded it into 4. See the way I folded it vertically. Then I'll place it under the 6 inches mark that I made. I'll make sure that about ½ inch goes up. That is, ½ inch is above that 6 inches mark that I made on the first print. I hope you understand me. See me here. I was trying to check if ½ inch is above. Then I went ahead to pin to keep it in place so that it doesn't move around. From that shoulder point, I want to take my gown length. The fabric was shifting, so I had to pin it again. So from your shoulder point, you're just going to measure your gown length. For me, I'm just going to use the whole fabric, right, for the gown length. I think I got about 58 inches, right? 58 inches from the shoulder. And that's what I'll just use for my gown length. So on that gown length point, you measure the same measurements you got. That is your hip divided by 4 plus 5 or 4 inches. I hope you understand me. So I still put that same measurement, hip divided by 4 plus 5 inches. Then I connected the lines, the mark. From that first print, I connected it to the end of the second print. Then from that 6 inches mark, you're just going to make a curve on that first Ankara print. You're just going to use your curve. See the way I placed my curve. I'm just going to connect it to the end of that first print. I still use my hand to blend it. So I'll just cut it out. I'll add ½ inch to it. I'm not going to cut on that exact line, right? You need to have ½ inch to join it to the lower part of the Ankara. I hope you understand me. So I'm just going to add ½ inch to it and cut it out. So I've cut out the up part. The next thing I'm going to do on the second Ankara, the lower part, I'm just going to mark that line, that shape, that curve. I'm just going to mark it on the second Ankara, right? Then I'll take out the first print. Then on that second print, this one right here, I'm not going to cut on that exact line that I marked. I'm going to cut on ½ inch. That's add ½ inch sewing allowance to join it to the upper part. The same ½ inch I use for the up part is the same ½ inch I'm going to use for the down part. Then I'll cut out the sides. If you've watched this video up to this point and you find it useful, please go ahead and hit the like button By hitting the like button or commenting on this video, the algorithm will push this video so that more people can see this video and watch it. And that is one of the ways you can support me on this channel, right? So I'll just place it like this. This is how it's going to be. Like I said, the back neck is not going to be the same with the front. So I'm just going to take out the back, remove it so that I can cut the front. So I'm going to cut out my front neck. The next thing to do is to iron the center so that you can have the mark to join the two midpoints, right? So I've gone ahead to iron it. Then I opened it. This is the back part of the prints, right? I make sure that the center aligns. Then I'll take it over to the sewing machine and stitch it down. I'll just stitch it round like this. I'll do the same for the back piece. So I've stitched it. The next thing to do is to open up the seams. You use your steam iron to open up the seam. If you don't have steam iron, you can just sprinkle water on that part and open up the seam. You do same for the front and the back, right? So this is the facing, but this facing is just for illustration purpose. I'll be using lining for it. So you fold your piece of fabric into two, place it under your front piece and your back piece. Cut the neckline, cut the shoulder. Then the width of your facing can be 2 or 3 inches. You cut it. This is the front facing. So I'll do same for the back facing. Place piece of fabric folded. Then I'll place the back piece on top of it. I'll cut the neckline and the shoulder. Then the width of the facing. After that, you join the shoulders of the facing. You join it. So for me, I said I won't be using facing. I've gone ahead to cut out my lining. So this is my lining. Mind you, I didn't cut my lining in pieces. I've already joined my main fabric before I cut my lining. I hope you understand me. So this is the back piece. I place the front lining on top of the back. Then I'll stitch on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. I'll do the same thing for the main Ankara fabric, right? This is the front piece. I'll place the back piece on top of it and stitch on 1/2 inch sewing allowance on the shoulders. I've stitched it, right? I want to turn the neckline. If you're not using lining, you're just going to place your facing on top of it. At the shoulder, you make sure that the shoulders align, right? You can pin it to keep it in place. Then you sew it round. After sewing it round, you notch and top stitch it, turn it inside. The same thing you do for your facing is the same thing you do for the lining. So I placed my lining on top of the main fabric. I make sure that the shoulders align. I open up the seams at the shoulder, then pin it. I'll do the same for the other shoulder. Open up the seams, the lining and the main fabric. Then I'll pin it. Then I'll take it over to the sewing machine and sew it round. The V-neck, the front and back neck, I'm just going to sew it round. Then after sewing, I'll notch it. After notching it, I'll turn it inside, then top stitch on the lining. I have done that here. The next thing to do is to fold your sleeve if you're not using lining or you use band, right? For me, I'm going to use the lining to turn the main fabric. See the way I'm doing it. So I'm just going to turn the fabric. See, right side facing each other. That's the right side of the lining and the right side of the fabric, right? I'll make sure that the seam aligns, the seam lines align. Then I'll stitch on 1/2 inch. So I have done that. I'm just going to turn it back. You see it? I did the same thing for the other sleeve. Then I turn it to the right side. So I have turned the sleeves, right? The next thing to do is to iron it to make it to be straight. The piece of fabric I cut out, I'll be using it for the line, and the length is 8 inches by 10 inches. I'm just going to mark that 10 inches mark there. Then I'll just make a slight curve there. I'll cut it out. For the pockets, you need 4 pieces for your pockets. I placed it on the other one to get the exact measurement. Then I cut it out. This part will be the pocket opening. To attach the pocket, I've already attached one side. From the shoulder, you go down by 17 inches. You just mark 17 inches from your shoulder. You connect it to the end of the fabric, that's the side. Then you take one piece of the pocket. You place it right side facing each other and make sure that the cuff part of the pocket is up. That is facing upward, not down. Pin it to keep it in place. You do the same for the front and back and stitch on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So I've attached the pockets to the dress. From that slip opening, my sewing allowance, I use 1/2 inch, right? For the side, I use 1.5. From where the pocket is, you go down by 1/2 inch. Then you measure your pocket opening, 6.5 or 7 inches for the pocket opening. Then you mark it, right? Then you stitch on 1/2 inch for the pocket. For the side, you continue your 1.5 or 1 inch sewing allowance, right? After that, you notch open that curved side so that it will relax. That's, you're just going to notch it. You do same for the other side so that when you iron it, it's going to relax. So I have sewn the sides. This is the pockets. I also went ahead to hem the down of the dress. And our dress is ready. Can you see the curve design looking so beautiful? Alright, if you found this video useful, please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. If you have any question, ask your question and I'll gladly respond to your question. Also, if you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. Please do well to share this video. Thank you.